It's really like the inner work, the mindset shifts, the putting yourself in difficult situations, the small habits. That is what has helped me build my self-esteem the most. As someone who had an addiction, my self-esteem was very, very low. And so the past 2 years have been me rebuilding my self-esteem and learning how to like myself again. Let's go through daily habits to build your self-esteem. The first daily habit is something that I talk about a lot on this channel. That's because it is so important, and that's also why it's at the top of the list. It is journaling. Journaling is such a helpful tool to self-reflect and to find out who you are, basically. If you struggle with low self-esteem, as I did, it might be because you don't feel confident in yourself or you don't accept yourself, which is something we're going to talk about later. But I find journaling is really helpful of any variety. Like, pick whatever you want here. You could do a gratitude list. You could ask yourself 3 questions at the end of the day. I quite like to do, what did I feel today? Because that helps me to see all of the emotions that I felt and see, yeah, I may have felt stressed, or I may have felt bad, I may have felt angry, but I also may have felt calm or relieved or peaceful and happy, right? Like, an overview of those emotions is really helpful. And I think labeling those emotions, labeling what you feel, can also help build your self-esteem. It's all about connecting with yourself and finding out who you are, and journaling is a really helpful tool to do that. You could also write affirmations. You could do some free writing. Doing a weekly review could also be helpful here. So look at what you journaled about. What is it that you focused on? Did you spend 2 pages going off on a rant about something that happened? Like, what are you paying attention to? If you write a gratitude list, what do you tend to repeat? Just becoming aware of what you notice. This is going to be helpful in changing your mindset and in building on the good things that are already there. In a similar vein to journaling, start documenting what you like. When I was newly sober, I basically had to relearn who I was because I'd been so used to relying on alcohol as a coping mechanism, but also as a way to fill time. I now have to relearn who I am, and this is really exciting. But start documenting what you like in whatever way suits you. So maybe every time you watch a TV show or a new film, or every time you read a book, keep a list of what you've been reading. Write a few words about that film you watched. Did you like it? Why not? Were there parts where you felt bored? Is this something that you feel like you should like? Like, are you watching something because everyone else is talking about this new TV show, and then you start watching it and you're like, why do people like this? This isn't for me. Start working out who you are. You're learning who you are outside of anyone else's influence, outside of shame or what you feel like you should like. So do you feel silly because you're like, actually, I really like reading children's books, or I really like listening to classical music, or I really like listening to, I don't know, something like that your friends would make fun of you for liking. Outside of what you think you should like, what kind of things you should be interested in. Like, do you pick out books because you want to appear cultured, or because other people are saying, oh, this is so good, and then you try and read it, you're like, I don't really like this, I don't enjoy this, or I don't understand why people do. Document what you like. Similarly, do you like knitting, or do you like going for walks and your friends are like, that's so boring? Like, you are your own person. Building your self-esteem, it's about learning specifically what you like and learning to accept that. Building self-esteem, this is a tricky one in terms of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. This is maybe the most difficult one on the list, particularly to put yourself in uncomfortable situations with people. I used to drink to deal with my emotions and for all sorts of reasons, but one of them was I felt very uncomfortable with myself, and so I felt very uncomfortable around people, and particularly around people who seemed very secure in themselves. So that is just like a side thing. Like, be aware of, are there certain people you find annoying for no reason, right? Like, there are some people where you're like, okay, I can see we've got different politics, or you can immediately identify a reason why you wouldn't get on with them. But if there is someone in your wider circle of friends or in your family who just annoys you for a reason that you can't explain, it may be because they are more confident in themselves, or they are more confident in an area that you wish you were more confident in. So maybe they feel completely fine speaking out about the things they care about. Maybe they are really open about the fact that they like this particular band that everyone makes fun of them for liking. Maybe you are annoyed at them because they are so accepting of themselves in that area where you're not. So that's something to be aware of in terms of people. But putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, I built my social skills like from scratch coming out of my addiction, because I was so used to drinking literally all the time in any situation. It was my crutch for everything. I was really nervous around people when I stopped drinking, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm now going to have to interact with people sober. We're talking about, like, I wouldn't even want to like make a dentist appointment over the phone and talk to people. Like, that is the level we're talking about. I just couldn't, I didn't want to do it. I felt really uncomfortable in my own skin. And all of these habits on the list that we're going through, all of these things will help you, but try and do something every day that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. because it's through doing the thing that you will gain social skills, and you will also realize, oh, this isn't a big deal. You will realize that the more conversations you have, the more mistakes you make, the more you trip over your words when you're just, making your dentist appointment. The more you do that, the more you'll realize it's not a big deal. Everything is fine in the end, and also that no one really cares that much, which is a great thing. It's great. No one pays attention to your mistakes or to these little slip-ups or anything. No one is paying attention as much as you think they are, and the more conversations, even small conversations, like just walking down the street, if you see someone with a cute dog, talk about their dog, ask them about their dog. People love talking about their dogs, trust me. If you are waiting in line at the supermarket, or if you go to the post office to like pick up some stamps or like post something, try and have a chat with someone either in the line or with the person serving you. Like, just say, how was your day? Or hope you have a nice day. Or start really small. Start putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations with people. It's going to be difficult at first, but it will get easier very quickly, and you will thank yourself for doing that. I have done this, and I am not stressed around people now in the way that I used to be. I am secure in myself. Next one is difficult. It's accept yourself as you are right now. In her book, Happier at Home, Gretchen Rubin talks about accepting your character limitations and making goals within the confines of your character. If you're someone who hates getting up early, it does not make sense for you to say, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. That is a great goal to have if you feel like you can achieve that, but that's not working with your character if you're someone who stays up until midnight. Like, how realistically are you going to wake up at 5 a.m.? Similarly, if you're an introvert and you want to have a goal of meeting new people, making new friends, that's great and it is possible, but your goals for making new friends are going to look very different as an introvert to someone who has that same goal as an extrovert, because they have more energy to put into social situations because they gain their energy from social situations, whereas you as an introvert are going to have to prepare a bit more and you're going to feel more drained afterwards. So you might be like, okay, yeah, let's do 2 social things a week, whereas an extrovert might be like, yeah, let's do things every night. Like, I'm going to go out with this person, and then we're going to go here, and then I'm going to go for lunch, and I'm going to go for drinks and all this stuff. That's great, but accept yourself as you are. This can be tricky, but I also think it's quite liberating because you are you. You're learning what you like. You may be like, oh, I wish I could like these highbrow literary books, or I wish I didn't like this reality TV show. Like, I know other people think whatever of me, which we don't need to bother about what they think, but all of these outside opinions can come in. And so accepting yourself, accepting your character as you are, is helping you build this foundation of self-esteem. If you start journaling, the first thing we talked about, that will help you notice more about yourself and learn more about yourself so that you can then accept yourself. And acceptance is a daily practice. It's never like something that you arrive at and you're like, I am now the best at acceptance that I will ever be. It's a thing that ebbs and flows. And I find this as well, with my recovery. I would really like to not be the way I am sometimes. Like today, I'm fine. I'm feeling good. I'm accepting the way I am, but it's difficult being in recovery sometimes. And I wish that I didn't have to think about that, but that's who I am and I have to accept that. Keeping promises to yourself and to others will help you build your self-esteem. So stop being flaky, stop overcommitting yourself. You don't want to be saying yes to everything and then not being able to actually follow through. Start small with this, with keeping daily promises to yourself. Even in the really small things, if you say to yourself, I'm only going to scroll for 20 minutes this morning and then get out of bed, try and do that, because that helps you build trust with yourself, because you said to yourself, I'm only doing this for 20 minutes. I'm only going to scroll on Instagram, scroll on Twitter. Only going to do that for 20 minutes. You say that to yourself and then you keep that promise by putting your phone down after 20 minutes. Something like that. Or if you say to yourself, when I get home, I'm going to cook myself a nourishing meal. Even if it's something that only takes 10 minutes, fry up some onions and have it with some pasta. Something basic. You say that to yourself and then you get home and you do that. And it can be difficult. And again, we need to be mindful of not overcommitting or not having these wild dreams of what we can achieve. Start small and build it up, and accept the limitations of your character and accept the limitations of your day. So if you've had a really busy day and you're going to be really tired when you get home, it's not really realistic for you to then say to yourself, when I get home, I'm going to cook myself, this extravagant salad and I'm going to make this salad dressing. What might be more realistic is to be like, I am going to, have some carrot sticks with hummus and some pitta. That's maybe more realistic. Do you know what I mean? Work with your day and work with yourself. Don't set these goals that you're not going to be able to reach. Even if you say something like, I'm going to clean my room every Monday, or I'm going to read 10 pages of my book every day. Something small that you can stick to and then do that every day and keep track of it in whatever way suits you. That is going to help build trust with yourself and help you build your self-esteem, because you're keeping promises and your word then means something. Similarly, we've talked there about in terms of keeping promises with yourself, but keep promises with other people. So find a weekly commitment, or find something that you can sign up to, sign up to a football team. Find something you're going to weekly and show up every week, even if you don't feel like it. We're going to also talk about motivation and action a bit later, but find something and commit to it. You will build your self-esteem just by showing up to that thing every week. Try something new and be bad at it. What's the saying? Be brave enough to be bad at something new. Try a new hobby. This is something that will help you not only build your self-esteem, but you will also, like, hopefully learn a new skill. If you try something, like we talked about, getting to know yourself, if you try something and you think you're gonna like it, or your friends are like, oh yeah, I like knitting, or I like painting, or I like going for walks, or I like running, and you try that thing because you're like, I want to be bad at something new, I'm going to try something different, build my self-esteem. If you try it and you don't like it, that's fine, like try something else. If you try drawing and you're like, this, I don't get it and I don't like it, aside from just thinking to yourself, I'm rubbish at this, I can't do this, aside from that, if you're like, this is boring, it doesn't interest me, move on, try something different, get a new hobby, practice it daily. Doesn't matter if you're bad at it at first, you don't have to tell anyone about it. When you've got like Netflix on in the background, just be like, okay, I'm going to try and sketch this flower, or I'm going to, like, I don't know, you could draw like a scene from your favorite TV show. You could read non-fiction books if you are always reading fiction. Like, try something different and just see how you feel about it. Trying something new and being bad at it, it's teaching yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. It's teaching yourself it's okay to be bad at something new. This will help you build your self-esteem. Another really important thing is to express yourself daily. Don't keep things in. Don't keep things to yourself. If you want to start like a YouTube channel, you want to start like a video diary, you want to just express yourself like we talked about with journaling, write down how you feel every day, or talk to people, build the relationships in your life. Stop being so self-sufficient and tell people how you're feeling when they're asking, how are you? I mean, it depends on the context, because some people are just saying it to be polite, and you can tell kind of on the context what they mean by that. But some people are asking you, how are you? And you're saying, yeah, I'm fine, how are you? And you're just deflecting it back. Those people are trying to get to know you better. They're just trying to like genuinely see how your day is. Give them the opportunity to do that. So start expressing yourself and being honest, not caring so much if you're bothering someone. I maybe fell into this trap too much in terms of like wanting to be considerate, and I'm still sort of working on this sometimes in terms of I can be that person who deflects it back. I may say, oh yeah, I've been struggling with this, or, you know, I may open up a bit and then I'll turn it back around on them. But sometimes it doesn't have to be like an even thing. Sometimes people really do want to hear what's going on with you, and expressing yourself, you grow more confident because you start to be able to verbalize everything that's going on in your head and everything you're feeling. And it also builds your relationship with that person because you are investing in the relationship by being honest and confiding in this person. So you're building your social bonds, and that will make you feel better. And it also makes you feel better because you feel heard and seen and validated. We don't only have to rely on external validation. So again, journaling can be helpful. Noticing how you're feeling, writing about how you feel, building your own validation, because yeah, you don't want to only be relying on external validation. I've done a few videos about validating yourself, so I will link one of them if you want to hear more about that topic. It is very important. Along these lines as well, tell someone if they've annoyed you. I'm kind of on the fence about this because we don't want to be causing arguments with people. We don't want to be annoying people. But I think this, to me, comes hand in hand with expressing yourself. Try and just resolve things quickly. Like, if you misunderstood someone, if someone's annoyed you, if someone's hurt you, just tell them. Get it out of your system. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't be dramatic. Don't let it fester. Just express yourself and move on. Obviously, it will depend on the friendship, how close you are, or the relationship, how close you are, because some people will get like really offended and be like, oh my gosh, how could you say that? Like, what? Some people don't like it when you're that honest, so it will depend. But I would say try, and if that's the reaction that people are having, maybe try and find new people like we're talking about, people who you can be honest with and who can handle conflict in a non-confrontational way, and just be like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that, or yeah, okay, I misunderstood, I should have said that differently. You know, it will help you find the right people for you as well when you start expressing yourself honestly like that. Have a routine. When I was in my addiction, I didn't want to have a routine because I was like, routines make time go quicker. I would think about like being back at school, and I was like, the week would go by so quickly because I had a routine of going to school every day. I didn't like this idea. The thing is, I didn't want a routine. I still had a routine. I still had set things that I was doing every day. I just hadn't consciously chosen to do those things. So, like it or not, you will be developing a routine. You need to make sure then that that routine is intentional and is actually going to make you have a good day or set you up for a good day, help you get better, instead of just keeping you stuck in a negative cycle as my routine used to be. This doesn't have to be something like the ones you see online in terms of like an aesthetic morning routine, a productive morning routine, self-care evening routine. Like I've done a self-care evening routine video, and that is great if you want to really invest time and be like, I want an hour-long routine in the morning or an hour-long routine in the evening. That's great. I think that is actually amazing if you can do that, but that's quite overwhelming as well, and it also doesn't go with like the ebbs and flows of life. Sorry, sometimes I'm really tired and all I want to do is like brush my teeth and get into bed and fall asleep, right? I don't want to have to go through this like elaborate routine of like, oh, and then I light a candle and then I journal for however long. Like I love doing those things, but I'm not strict about what the routine is. So find a routine that works for you. Matt Haig has this quote, which I don't really like, but it is very relevant here, and it's find a routine or make a routine baggy enough to live in. So give yourself space. Don't be like too prescriptive about it. But even if it's just like a small sequence. So I've talked about this in one of my Little Things episodes, just having like an evening routine sequence. So I like wash my face, do my skincare, I brush my teeth, and then I put my light on. I put on my favorite TV show, whatever it happens to be that I'm watching. That is something that I'm working on in terms of like silence in the evening. But for now, I have something on when I'm going to sleep. It just helps me. But I have then my nighttime sequence of, okay, I do my hand cream, I have my lip balm, I have a pillow spray, which is a really nice like lavender, eucalyptus, chamomile scent, and I have a nightly probiotic that I take right before bed. So that sequence itself only takes like 2 minutes to do those things, right? But having that sense of structure, having that routine to like rest in the evening, it does something for your self-esteem. It's along the same lines of keeping promises to yourself. It's like, okay, I do this same thing every day and I know these steps take care of me. Like I know that the hand cream and the lip balm, that's good for my skin. The pillow spray, that makes me feel like I'm taken care of because it's a bit like decadent and it's also very like calming. And then the probiotic, again, I'm taking care of myself by taking this thing. Building small things. It doesn't have to be like I'm doing an hour morning routine. It can be if you like. And sometimes I do that. But it can also just be like a small sequence of things like that, which can help you build your self-esteem because you're investing in yourself in really little ways. Spend time alone and in silence at some point during the day. It's really easy to have something on all the time, like some distraction on, in terms of like, I love listening to podcasts, I love watching YouTube videos, I will scroll on Twitter, I will scroll on Instagram, I will listen to music. 21 Pilots has a new album out, I've been listening to that a lot. That's all great and I enjoy all of those things. I can even, in terms of like silence, sometimes I'm just like talking to myself, like talking through video ideas, despite all of that. And even if it's not noise that is like influencing you in a bad way, or you're like mindlessly scrolling, even if you're intentional about the content that you're consuming or the things that you're listening to, the things that you're watching, I think it's still really valuable to have some time in silence and some time alone. And those things work quite well together. But even if you're just going to say, okay, I'm on my commute, just going to sit and notice things. I'm going to notice my thoughts, like do some mindfulness or pray as opposed to listening to a podcast or listening to music. You can pray, you can notice what is happening in your mind, have things to write about, and it just like, don't be so scared of spending time alone. And maybe this is easy for me because, as I said, I'm an introvert, so like I don't mind spending time by myself. But if it is something that I'm saying that and you're instantly like, no, thank you. Maybe interrogate why that is. Would you think that that would be boring? Like you can set a timer for it. Just be like, I'm going to sit in silence for 5 minutes, or I'm going to sit in silence by myself for 5 minutes. Why do you have resistance to that? Like explore that a little bit. This will help you build your self-esteem. Find a way to love your appearance, to love the way that you look. I've left this one till the end, even though I know this is maybe one that you would expect at the beginning in terms of like investing in your appearance, building your self-esteem. It can be a really valuable step, which is why I'm still including it on this list. But I don't think that this is the most important thing. It can help you feel better, definitely. It helps me feel better to, have clean hair, brush my hair, to wear some jewelry, to put my makeup on, to wear nice clothes. Like I love picking out an outfit, to wear perfume. All of these things help me feel good about myself, and that's why I want to include something about your appearance on this list. But it's really like the inner work, the mindset shifts, the putting yourself in difficult situations, the small habits. That is what has helped me build my self-esteem the most. And then the appearance stuff, while it's important, to me it doesn't carry as much weight as all of the inner work that we've talked about. Looking good can help you feel good, and maybe like me, you struggle with accepting the way you look. I think it's a fairly normal thing. It helped me to remember that the things that I'm bothered about in terms of the way I look, I know my family and the people that I care about and the people who care about me and love me, I know that they don't think about those things as much as I do. So I might feel really self-conscious about a particular feature, or I might be like, oh my gosh, my hair is so greasy today, or oh my gosh, I have so many spots. It helps me to remember that my family, they don't really care about that. Like, they might notice it, but they're like, I'm just happy to spend time with this person that I love. They're not judging you. And if your loved ones are judging you, maybe try and find some new people to be around. If you can find a way to invest in your appearance, whether you want to go charity shopping, you want to clear out your wardrobe and find some things that you've not been wearing as much recently, maybe go through your jewelry box. I did this a few weeks ago and I was like, oh my gosh, I have these things that I've completely forgotten about. Find something new like that. Invest in like a nice bath oil or a nice shower gel, like something just to make you feel nice. It's not all about buying things though. Really want to stress that that's not the answer. It definitely is not the answer. So either use what you have, or there are affordable options where you're not spending a whole amount of money, like going to the charity shop, pick out like a nice new bag or a nice scarf. There are so many things that you can find. These little things will help give you a boost. I will leave my self-validation video that I mentioned because I think that is a really good continuation of this theme about how to build your self-esteem, build confidence within yourself. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.